it isn't just enough to teach phonics and handwriting and spelling and word level reading all explicitly. It isn't enough to use decodable text and then send some decodable text home and teach sentence level transcription. If all of these things are in different directions, you're not going to get the bang for the buck that your students need, particularly your strugglers. So when you're thinking about how am I teaching in my classroom, we need the phonics instruction to be linked to handwriting, to also be linked to word level and spelling. And then there's a little triangle between the word level and spelling. When we start creating alignment, everything bounces off each other. It takes us through to that reciprocity. It's all connected. We need to use decodable text in instruction. And remember, a decodable text at a pinch can be this at a basic level, and it's a whole nother topic, but your reading comprehension goals can be met in other ways other than having all the books all the time. Sending home decodable, and I've just said text again, decodable text for home reading and your sentence level transcription. When you align them, we're all bouncing off. So let's look at, if we want to teach our E, our handwriting can focus on E. Our spelling words are E. If you have to send spelling words home, if they're making you, I don't know who they is, but if you're being made to send spelling words home, just make them about the grapheme you're teaching. Same with the word level reading, and same with the sentence level. Now you could be using a text. So I know that, having spoken with Camilla from Decodable Readers Australia, they're actually developing some more texts for the complex code that have just one grapheme and fewer words. The books that they have, I just happen to have one like this, they are consolidation texts. They're not instructional texts, and they know that, and they're making adjustments. So you might have been using a text for your instruction, and if you're the lucky winner of that 3-month subscription to the library, you can then assign those texts off to your students. Parents don't have to buy anything, so they can read it a few times in class and then be reading it at home. But you could send anything that's aligned, just being really careful that whatever you're asking students to read, they know the graphemes for. Now, a typically developing student who's in year 2, who knows a really good chunk of the alphabetic code, you can be less strict on that rule. But you have to know the students and how vulnerable they are in terms of that code. But you know your students the best, so you'll make those decisions. Okay, but let's talk about the real world, because it's all very well for me to say, oh, you should do this with all these texts and that's amazing. But if you're sitting here going, yeah, my school's not going to buy that, what happens? Or I have to do things that I know are not the best. What can I do? Here's some suggestions to keep it real. Choose a phonics sequence. It's much better to have a sequence and just start there than do this ad hoc thing. Link it to whatever decodable resources you have. And a decodable resource can be this. Remember, it doesn't have to, it's better if it's a fantastic text, but it doesn't have to be. Ditch guided reading where you can and replace it with phonics lessons or reading lessons with decodable text. Don't send predictable text at all if you can help it. If you are in a school that says you absolutely have to send them, also send decodable stuff as well. So you might have to send a predictable text, but send this as well, and have a quiet word to your most vulnerable families, the parents of your most vulnerable students, and just ask them to focus on this and share the other book together without the student reading it. I know that's a little bit subversive, but our struggling readers absolutely need to not have predictable texts. Align things where you can, and remember, there's no rule that says you have to read a book. If there's a handwriting program in place, and often parents have purchased these handwriting books or the spelling books as part of the book pack, just align it to the phonics progression that you're using. Same with the spelling, ditch it all together if you can, but if you can't, match it to the phonics, making sure that you're leaving out the words that have sounds in them that the kids haven't learnt yet. And if you only have a limited number of decodables, say your school just doesn't have the resources, but you have your own set, you could type out the text onto one A4 page, but I do recommend you contact the publisher first. Those companies started by ex-teachers are often very, very understanding around these things.